Modern wall constructions, Part 1, Evolution of clay masonry blocks. The evolution of blocks. Fired clay bricks underwent a spectacular evolution over the 20th century until they became the masonry blocks of today. Taking advantage of the technological advances in mass production, the main directions of innovation have been towards better thermal insulation and faster and more efficient construction. First, the holes appeared in the bricks, as the air cells provide the bricks with excellent thermal insulation properties. One of the following steps was to increase the height of the bricks, resulting in fewer courses to build, speeding up the construction process. The increase in the number of cells, and thus the cell ratio, further increased the insulating properties. At the same time, sizes continued to increase as the large number of cells significantly reduced the specific mass. For most manufacturers, the height has remained constant at around 23.8 centimeters, assuming a mortar thickness of 1.2 centimeters and thus a vertical grid size of 25 centimeters. The blocks have also been widened in both directions, further facilitating construction. The 30 centimeters thick walls should be placed in a header course instead of a varied brick bond. The mortar void appeared in many blocks, making vertical joints unnecessary. The same result is achieved with the tongue and groove joints. Eliminating vertical joints improves thermal properties and speeds up construction on site. The development's next main focus was to reduce bed joints to a minimum. The latest blocks are ground flat, keeping the height grid at 25 centimeters, thus reducing the height of the joint to 1 millimeter instead of 1.2 centimeters. The mortar is now applied with a roller, or adhesive foam strips are sprayed between the courses. The lower material and water requirements also mean a more economical and environmentally conscious approach. In line with the insulation requirements, the wall thickness has also been steadily increased to meet these needs without needing separate insulation. 44 centimeter wide blocks soon joined the 30 and 38 centimeter walls. The EU's current requirement of the required U value can be met by a wall built of two types of blocks without thermal insulation: a tongue and groove, 44 centimeter wide, flat ground block with an innovative cavity system. A tongue and groove, 44 centimeter wide, flat ground block with a core that has internal rock wool cells instead of air cells. Thus, the thermal insulation is integrated inside the block. Modern clay block system joints. The following example shows a 44 centimeter wide clay block wall end, a wall corner connection and a T connection with another 38 centimeter thick wall. We have chosen thin joint mortar blocks with internal rock wool insulation. For the masonry, we follow the general rules of wall bonding. First, we figure out how we will solve the critical wall connections. Wall ends. You don't need to think much about the wall end for either wall 38 or 44. In the courses of the wall, we want to keep a half offset between the headers, so we place whole blocks in the starting course and start the next course with a half closer. Wall corner 1 course goes out to the corner at the wall corners, and the other meets it from the side. In the next course, the same happens in reverse. The goal is to have a whole block above the connection joint to connect the turning courses with the joint in the middle. This course still needs to tackle 32 centimeters of the 44 centimeter wall thickness. It is done with a 19 centimeter closer and a 12 centimeter block, with their cut sides facing each other. The 1 centimeter gap between them is filled with adhesive. Then, for the finished corner, we place the whole blocks in the other direction. In the next course, in the opposite direction, place blocks 19 or 12 from the corner and the half closer to create the joint. T-connection. For T-connections, we think similarly as for wall corners. We finish wall 38 in one course on the other side of wall 44, completing the course with a whole block, while in the course above it, we continue to the other side of wall 44. In the latter case, wall 44 is started in two directions, with whole blocks on both sides of wall 38. The connecting part of wall 38 is tied into wall 44 by a whole block, extending 12 centimeters into wall 44. The rest is again built up with a 19 block and a half closer. The cut parts turned against each other and filled with adhesive 1 centimeter wide. A whole block should be placed on the center line of the joint to ensure a proper tie-in above and below wall 38. Thus, inside wall 38, one block of 12 centimeters should be placed, and the joints on both sides should be filled with adhesive. The phases of construction: 1. Above the foundation, on the surface of the reinforced concrete slab, we mark the external and internal contours of the walls, the wall corners, the wall connections, and the openings with a chalk line. 2. Horizontal soil moisture, proofing in one layer of modified bituminous sheet, will be installed. 3. In the case of flat ground blocks, the perfect levelness of the first mortar layer is crucial because the minimum thickness of the joints in the subsequent courses will no longer allow for correction. Adjustment is carried out using a mortar leveling tool and a leveling bar. The base layer of mortar is 2 to 3 centimeters thick, on which the setting points must be marked again. 4. Next comes the positioning of the leads, which are adjusted with a rubber mallet and a level. We start with whole blocks at the wall ends, a 19 centimeter cut block at the wall corners, and a 12 centimeter cut block at the T connection. 5. Then comes the laying of the intermediate blocks for the first course of one of the 44 centimeter wall sections. To do this, a line is stretched out between the set leads. At the corner, we add a half bat to the 3/4, closer as planned, and fill the space between the cut elements with adhesive. The same is also done in all other cases where cut blocks meet other blocks. The whole blocks are joined together by pushing the grooves and tongues into each other without using any adhesive. Six. The intermediate blocks of the other wall section are laid similarly. 7. The first course of the 38 centimeter wall section is also built, and the joints are filled with adhesive. 8. The second course also starts with the laying of the leads. We again start with a 19 centimeter cut block in the wall corners, but this time the block faces the other way. At the T connection, we place a 19 centimeter cut element in the direction of connecting 38 centimeter wall. At each wall end, a half closer is now placed over the whole closer. 9. In all other respects, we will continue with the same masonry work as before. The level and the plumb are checked regularly with a level.